Yeah. And we're live. Hey, everybody. I'm Lucas, and I'm here with Dav, our director at Mammoth Factory. And before we go into all the fun stuff, which is Abominable Beasts, and we're going like a behind-the-scene look, and then also some models of the March collection, which will be Infernal Conclave. But before we do all of that, Dav, how are you doing, and what are we doing with these streams now?
Right. So yeah, we are starting a new kind of version of these where we kind of go through highlights of the adventure and showing the minis and having this kind of like reveal of the minis, a little bit going back to what we did at older streams.
Yes.
Now, now kind of revamping it basically. Yeah, that's it. We can start.
Yeah, we can start. And if anybody has some questions or wants to chat, right, we're reading the chat, and either during the stream or at the end, we'll take your questions. Hey there, Brandon. And I think we'll just start, right? Because this month's adventure is actually our setting guide for the Immortal Flames, which has been the last 3 months campaign. And it will come out tomorrow, which I'm super excited for. And Dav, tell me, how does this setting guide link with the Immortal Flame? Because this one, especially the models, they're all these mutated beasts with tentacles and stuff, while the campaign was more focused on dragonborns and dragons. How does this link?
Well, first I noticed that we used the wrong cover, so that's a bit of a mistake, but it's okay. It's actually called Scorched Earth, the 3D, the setting guide. Yeah, so the setting guide is about high fantasy land in which that is the same setting called Eora, which is from our first book and our second book. We have the history is that at this point, this is 100 years after the Great Arcane Wars. Some deep lore here that is not even inside this final book, but there might be a little segment about it. I think there is actually a segment about it. Where in the Great Arcane Wars there were these good wizards and bad wizards, and they were fighting each other, and there was a lot of death. And a lot of big magic death, let's call it. So big that it actually cracked the continent in half at some point. And all these kind of places where there was mass magical death, there was this kind of residue left over, which is it's called tar. And tar is basically nuclear magical waste that is made from like life force in combination of this kind of magic left over. And you can find that across the land, and its corruption, and then what does it mean, and how was it used. So to understand a little bit about why this matters is because the ruling empire currently in the land, it's called the Raxian Empire. I think we have the crest of the Raxian Empire somewhere. And the crest of the empire, not the crest, the Raxian Empire were very anti-magic. Why? Because after the war, they were like, fuck this.
Yeah, enough of that. No more magic.
No more
We've done
magic.
it. We tried it.
Exactly. It became a bit totalitarian. And so, ironically, they realized that tar has anti-magic, spoilers for the campaign, obviously, but they realized that tar has anti-magical properties. So they secretly started to experiment on animals and then on humans to try to give people magic resistance. And of course, it's
How did that
magical.
go?
It's a bit fucked up and backwards. So instead, not very well. And this is kind of the setting for the whole thing is that this other empire seems to be invading the mainland, the Drakari Empire, which is this is the whole dragon empire invading. They're invading because they found out that this empire, the Raxian Empire, is doing experiments on humans and animals and monsters, and they're like, that's not okay. We can't let you do that. But that's all kind of hush hush, and nobody believes. And the Draconic Empire, the Drakari, the Immortal Flame Empire, they are invading, but they're not telling anyone that this is why they're invading because they don't want the Rexian to know that they know. And
So all of these monsters and peasants that get mutated, this is a result of the Raxan Empire doing experiments. Now the dragons come in and are like, no, this has to stop.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see throughout the campaign, there is different interaction with Tar. There is like the first main mission is this dragon, which we'll talk about in a second, that you need to get somewhere. And I think we've explained this in the other stream as well, but kind of follows you along. But also in different places, when you're like in some caves, you see some of it, and you see some leftover from the war where the Raxian Empire, again, kind of in an anti-magic effort, have taken tar and experimented with it, making tar met, which is a very clearly tar metal, right? So tar infused metal, which they've built cages that are anti-magic for to enclose prisoners of war that are magic users. Also, magic users across the land are still illegal. They've also made like shields and weapons, and it interacts with magic users in all sorts of ways.
And so if you're playing in that setting and you're playing just a magic user, like you're a wizard or sorcerer, does that have impact? Like, sure, the tar itself, but then also the Raxan Empire? How does that work?
Yeah, so in the campaign, magic users are kind of you're okay if the Raxian Empire knows about you and you're categorized and you kind of are working for them, then it's kind of okay. But otherwise, you're an outlaw. So it's this kind of like I'm strong arming you into doing something situation. So people who are magic users, first of all, are few and far in between, but they're also under the thumb of the Empire. And it's interesting how you start the campaign with this idea of like, oh, this draconic empire is attacking and killing everyone, even peasants, right? And then slowly you start to discover, wait a minute, are we the bad guys? Is the empire bad? Are the dragons bad? Like, who's bad? And where are we in between? And you're kind of on a mission in between them as well, and you find yourself in the position that you can sway things either here or there. Here, there's some examples on the screen of tar like animals, and then tar infected animals. And then there's also the peasants and the tar infected peasants.
Yeah, and also to that, like Michael Entwistle is also in the chat, and he's painted those up. These are just beautiful.
Beautiful minis. Yes.
Then let's dig a bit into the mechanics as well. I think we have a stat block because all of these monsters, right, they're infected with tar, so they have these weird mutating and anti-magical effects.
Right. Sorry, you want to
No, go. No, go.
Yeah. So basically, there are some tar monsters that were kind of created in these areas that have tar. They have tar corruption, if you will. And the way it affects them is that depending on how big the creature is and how strong, because if you're not strong and you're not powerful, then tar tends to corrupt you and you go insane and you die, right? Or you usually dissolve. But if you have strong willpower and you can hold it, humans, for example, do, animals tend to less. But if you're a big animal, like for example a mammoth, then you tend to have tar corruption, and the bigger you are, the stronger you are, the higher level of the corruption is. The way the corruption affects you is, well, you have a ton of souls or life essence from all these people who died, so you are crazy, and you do keep changing your opinion about things, and it's very erratic kind of monsters. But there's some monsters that got a hang of it, so that's also, those exist as well. At some point where the tar development gets there, you can get a sense of focus, but you can also go insane, so there's all of that. But the way that tar corruption itself works is that, first of all, they all have magic resistance, which is fun. But the other main mechanic is that the tar corruption level is the level of which, so for example, if you're doing any sort of spell on a tar corrupted monster that is a tar corruption level 1, let's say, and it's a spell level 1, if it's if it's a concentration spell, at the beginning of the turn of the tar monster, the magic breaks. It's not a roll; it's automatic, right? And they get to roll also on if it's higher level. So, for example, their tar corruption level is 3, and you cast some sort of like slow, for example, on them, then yeah, the beginning of their turn, they just don't have it anymore. So all these kind of lasting, big impact spells that are concentration based.
Yeah, you have to rethink.
It's yeah. So magic is really, really tricky with these kind of monsters. There's a bunch of other effects as well, depending on the monster and stuff like that. I think we're showing a stat block.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Terrell Talang, which is this weird horse monster with arms, and yeah, like I had the pleasure to test some of those. And the first time I read that ability, this tar corruption, I was like, you can't do that. They already have magic resistance, but it really makes the players think. Like the first time, they might be shocked, but then it's okay. So we can now hold our actions to cast a spell. So it will be until the next round. You really have to strategize and think new, and your fighter now becomes so much more important than normally. It really changes the whole dynamic. So I completely love these.
Another thing that is important to mention is that our monsters are attracted to magic users and magic in general. So if you have a caster, a tar monster, especially if it's an unintelligent one, like a beast, like a mammoth, for example, that will definitely attack the biggest spell that is happening. So you can use it to do like a cat and mouse kind of thing, where like, oh, I'm casting a 3rd level spell, chase me kind of thing. But most of the time, the wizard or the cleric will cast something and it will just focus, like super focus on them, like fuck you in particular, right?
You will die.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's the beauty.
Amalgam mammoth.
Yes.
Took us a while to make another mammoth, and I think we did it.
Finally.
Did good service, yes.
Yeah,
It's terrifying to fight that thing.
It's a beauty. Yeah. Like this is one of the big monsters from this set, and the other one, which is also so the cover, is the adult Terrellith dragon. How did that come? Because that's another fun thing we did, right? But how exactly did that idea evolve of the dragon as like this go through story point?
So we wanted to have something that, you always want to have like a mission, right, to start the campaign, so that they have a mission, they know where they're going, and they know what side they're on, kind of as a start. Oh, I don't know if we have the other minis to show the gradual growth, Sean. I don't think we have those, right? No, probably not.
We should have them.
Okay.
Maybe somewhere. Yeah, because
Okay. We do. Nice.
Yeah, Sean is on camera duties and showing all these beautiful minis for us.
Exactly. So we wanted to start with them needing something to do. So something to do was like a box. We're like, okay, what's in the box? And then we realized it would be the ultimate blasphemy, right? Because the Drakari Empire, the Drakari Ascendancy, which is not the Raxian Empire. So there's the dragons, and then there's the humans, right? Basically. So the Ascendancy, the ultimate blasphemy against them would be if you took one of their dragons, this solar dragons thing, and corrupted it with tar. It's one of the experiments that the Raxian Empire are doing, because fighting fire with fire, or in this case dragons with dragons. And they knew that an incredibly intelligent, powerful tar dragon will want to kill other dragons as well, so they knew it will just naturally evolve to be their enemy. And they didn't know if it would be effective or not, but tar creatures also kind of mutate, and because they mutate, they actually grow much faster. So as you're going through the campaign, within the span of a few weeks, you suddenly have already an adult dragon. It's really terrifying. So as you go through the campaign, you start with this egg, and then the egg cracks because the tar is seeping through it, and it melts through the box. And then the baby dragon imprints on you, and you have a little pet, and it's very cute, but it does have a tar breath, which you're conflicted because you don't like the dragons, and do you kill it? Do you not kill it? But it's the mission, so by that time you bond with it, and then you don't want to kill it. And so yeah, throughout the campaign, the first chapter you have like the egg, and then you have like a wormling, and then you have a young dragon, and then you have an adult dragon, right? So throughout the campaign, we've made multiple versions of this little dragon.
So you've got this cute Pokemon dragon that just evolves way too fast, and at the end you're, oh god, what is this monster?
Yes. And that's its final form, this amazing we've worked on that piece. It was so many revisions to get that silhouette and that dynamic pose. So well done to our 2D and 3D team for doing that.
Yeah.
They just incredible mini, very hard to balance, also physically.
Yeah, that really stands. The first time I saw the render, I was like, this looks freaking amazing, but does this actually work? And then to see it actually printed out was wow.
Yeah, just the right balance. So very, very proud of that.
Is there any last thing you want to talk about? The whole Scorched Earth, Immortal Flames, or should we go to March and go to Infernal Conclaves,
Yeah,
the
so just
upcoming
to,
collection?
exactly. So just to explain a little bit, basically, yeah, we have, for those who don't know, we started to do this kind of newer format where we do 3 chapters of an adventure, like main beats, and then we do the 4th collection of minis, which is like the setting guide, which has a lot of side quests and lore and things you can learn. And we release that at the end, and then all 4 chapters in a way. So 3 chapters plus setting guide, which is 4 months worth of releases, roughly 100 miniatures or so. They all become a Kickstarter, and maybe we add a few NPCs or something like that to the Kickstarter. And that's our new format. And after that, so what we're going to be doing, so because right now we are so far ahead in Kickstarters, we wanted to be able to catch up. And to be able to catch up, but we also wanted to do smaller Kickstarters so more people would be able to buy all physical minis, because otherwise it just becomes ridiculous to produce.
Yeah, comes too much.
It becomes too expensive. So we lowered the amount of minis, but that means we finish books quicker. So we decided to do 4, and then we're doing 2, 3, 4 in the middle, which are standalone adventures. For example, the next month adventure, which actually was written by, or at least co-written by Lukas and by Caleb, who is not here. And this is the Feast of the Damned. And it looks like it happens in hell, but it's not.
No, it is hell on
It's
earth.
level 6. And so, yeah, we're just going to show a little reveal of March's collection. There we go. This is what it looks like. Do we have the 360s and stuff like that? I don't know if we're showing that.
No, but we have some of the painted minis, and those
Oh,
should
we do.
be. Yeah, we have
Amazing.
to rotate it. Yes.
Fantastic. Look at that. So yeah, that's really cool. That looks really nice. We are, yeah, so we're going to reveal the story and this kind of interesting intrigue kind of story that was really fun to write and discuss. And oh, also those minis, we had a kind of major collaboration with a specific artist called 3D of San, I think, 3D Art of San. I'm butchering his Instagram name, but he's fantastic. I'm sure we'll include that somewhere. He used to work for us, and then he did his own thing, and then he closed up shop and all this kind of stuff. So we ended up kind of working with him to repurpose and reignite and reuse the minis he made. I mean, a lot of these minis we also made ourselves, and edited a lot of them, but it was also heavily made with him, and we wanted to make sure that he gets the fantastic credit, because he really helped us in our, yeah, it was just really, really kind, and he did such an amazing job. So bravo to him.
Yeah, and like a lot of reimagining, so it works into the story that we want to tell.
We heavily edited this. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because we will at a later point, in the next stream, go a bit more into the story. But one main thing is that you have these 2 factions. One which is more related to stone, the other to flesh, that are fighting, and the players are caught in between. And so a lot of these models, you can see that they either are flesh related, and here we have the Herald himself, who is like the leading demon of excess and of revelry, who is opposed to this stone eidolon, which is more about stasis. And so we try to capture that in the models themselves.
If anybody ever wanted a demon Jabba the Hutt, this is basically what we were striving for.
Yes.
Yeah, it seems like it would be a really great adventure, but we will discuss it next time. Do you have a favorite mini from these?
It's hard to say. At the beginning, real quick, like the Angel surely is awesome, but I'm just a big fan of this tiefling half demon. Because then also in this, the story, she's this investigator character, and she definitely has that look where, yeah, she's got a bit of a crime noir detective vibe. Exactly, that's the one that you see here, which I just, I love.
Yeah, she has personality. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah. How about you? Do you have a favorite?
I genuinely, I really like the big stone guy. Fuck, I forgot his name.
The Eidolon. Yeah, I recently called him Demon Thanos. That's
Demon
the vibe.
Thanos. Yeah, exactly. He just is. He looks like, if you put like a little guy next to him. That's why we have this little terrain, because that's an arch for a normal person. That thing is 100, right? Bill base. It's super big. So I can really imagine a big statue imbued with demonic magic coming to life, which is what he is, kind of.
Yes.
Very, very, very exciting.
Ruins for scale.
Yes, exactly. Do we have any questions that anybody asked?
Yeah, like the chat has been active, but if you have any questions, be it about this upcoming set or the campaign, the book that has just ended, or just in general, throw them in here. And if not, is there anything else? Any last thing you want to say, Dav?
Yeah, so we're gonna have a few standalones, and then we're gonna start on our next book, our 5th book, which is all gonna be about ice. But I'm not gonna say anymore. And it's gonna be about ice, but there's gonna be a lot of different types of creatures there. So it's not just gonna be it. Basically, the minis that we're putting there can be used for ice, but also for other things. So stay tuned, and we will elaborate on this next month.
Oh yeah, going to be excited because I don't know too much about that, so I'll pick your brains on that.
We're deep in the playtesting at the moment. Nearly died in the last session. We rolled 8 nat ones within 30 minutes. It was ridiculous.
Oh
no. We nearly, there's monsters and all these things. We nearly died from snow, basically. It was just such terrible survival rolls. Daniel was like, "What are you doing?" Like this. I wanted to challenge you, but this is not how it's supposed to end. Yeah, we'll talk about that more another time.
Yeah.
Cool. Any last questions, or we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Manticore and Demon Thanos seem to be crowd favorites at the moment. And with that, I wish all of you a nice day, and always see you on Discord if anybody wants to chat. We're always there. And with that, rampage on.
Yeah, rampage on, guys. Cheers.